I joined the Army Reserve straight out of high school. I was 18. I just felt like it was a calling. I wanted to serve and I wanted to be part of something bigger. We were in Camp Leatherneck, which is in Helmand Province. It's an area riddled with opium growth, the Taliban, one of the most kinetic areas in Afghanistan because of the opium sales and the opium trade. I was 31 when I was there, so seeing 19-year-old men and 20-year-old women dying constantly was just heartbreaking. And one night I had a knock on the door, and the sergeant in charge told me that we had a KIA, which means someone was killed in action. Being the operations officer, I had to tell people where to go, what to do, talk to the convoy and figure out what was going on. So I went into work, and we had a feed out that I could look into and tap into. And sure enough, there was our convoy right beside the base in Kandahar where it was supposed to be, and one of the vehicles was on fire. After a few minutes, we realized they couldn't get the soldiers out of the trucks. And so for the next 12 hours, I watched them burn. And what began as people ended as just charred skeletons. And the other part was you couldn't mourn. You immediately took care of all the preparations. We had 3 other missions out that day. We had another mission that night. We had so many things to do that you don't stop to process what happened. There is definitely a sense of the mission must continue, and we don't have time for emotions, even though everybody feels them.
When Kyra came back from Afghanistan, she was no longer the outgoing, wonderful, fun-loving person that she used to be. She had a lot of doubts, a lot of fears, a lot of uncertainties. She couldn't communicate it, so it was hard for me to understand what actually happened in her life and how these things had hindered her with her mentality and with her ability to cope with life.
Everyone understood that if I didn't want to go in a crowd, that's fine. She's been to Afghanistan, we get it. She doesn't want to watch a military movie, that makes sense. So I think that enables you to harbor the PTSD for so much longer. I would pretend to smile around everyone, but I couldn't wait to get back to my room and do nothing and not be around people. And I was very depressed. I was definitely drinking too much. They had me on 4 different medications for depression and were trying to put me on 1 more. And I just felt like life was closing in. And I called my mom and I told her, I said, Mom, I'm gonna kill myself.
Well, it was one evening I got a phone call from Kyra, and she was in really bad shape. She had enough, she's finished. She really did think about taking her life, and I told her to come and talk to me.
She told me all the reasons I should not do it. And she forced me to promise I wouldn't before I could leave. I definitely knew at that point that I had to get help because this wasn't going away.
I guess I was grateful that I was there to be able to take that call, because sometimes people just aren't there, and it would have been a disaster if I hadn't been.
It hit me. These people that care about me thinks that I need help. Maybe I need help. And that's when I started looking into programs for PTSD, and I found the program at Emory. They have psychiatrists and counselors who are specially trained and have committed their life's work to treating PTSD. They teach you how to overcome anxiety with some great tips, and they actually take you out into the world again, and it really works. The first time I went to tell my story about what had happened, I couldn't get through it. I hadn't told anyone. But within 3 days, I could talk through it. And that weekend, after the first week, I called my family and friends and was able to tell them what I'd been dealing with.
It was the difference between night and day. It was like getting my daughter back, you know? And that's the hope that Emory gives these veterans and these soldiers, to become a member of society again and to put war behind you.
It meant so much for her to see my progression. She was proud of me as a soldier, and now she's proud of me as someone who's happy again and functional again. And pursuing my dreams again. I truly believe that programs like the one at Emory and the Blue Angels Foundation and what they do to support veterans are truly saving veterans' lives. I don't know where I would be today without the program, and I can't say I would be here.
It's so important, and now that we realize what war can do to our heroes, how we support them and we help them in every way we can to become whole members of society again, because they've given so much for us. It gives them their lives back, and that's what you give to, that's what you donate to, and that's what makes a difference.